up, everybody, and welcome back to the Apostles Corner. We finally made it back.
We're back.
All of those announcements. Oh, we're coming back this week.
Yeah.
We're coming back this week.
We're busy a little bit.
We're coming back this week.
We told the truth this time.
We came back.
We're back.
We came back. Well, the Apostles Corner is a podcast, video and audio podcast where we are talking about real people. We're having real conversations, talking about real people who are doing real life.
You almost got it right.
I almost got it wrong.
Yep.
I almost got it wrong. I haven't said it in a while. So let's try it again. Apostles Corner is having real conversations, talking about real people.
No, we're not talking about people. We are real people. Talking about real life.
We are real people.
Yep, real conversations,
real
real people, real life.
That's it.
Basically.
Y'all forgive us. This is a candid conversation today.
Clearly.
Clearly a candid conversation. Because we don't even know our mission anymore. We've just been busy. We moved. We've done a lot of things since we been on last. And so we just want to come back and give you episode 4 of boundaries. That's our subject for this season. This is season 3 and episode 4 of the Apostles Corner. And we're talking about boundaries. And by the way, I'm your host, Brian Harris, and this is my co-host, the wonderful, the illustrious, the amazing Dr. Kim. Y'all see she got braces and all of that.
You're not supposed to tell anyone.
Oh. Okay, then.
It's a secret.
All right. Well, good. All right. Well, the secret is out.
I'm mimicking your behavior. Your hands. I just realized that.
It's called chemistry. Yep. See, before I added her, I was much more serious. I could get on with it. But because
Stay focused.
I've added her, it's something else. All right, so check this out. We have a subject, and we're going to talk about this. See what I'm talking about? We're going to talk about the subject. The subject, we don't really recall the subject.
It has a name.
It has a name. So we're just going to discuss it because we know that it's floating around in the air somewhere. So you guys may not feel like this is professional, but I promise you, this is a professional broadcast. And we really just trying to get back in the game, and we didn't write anything down because we wanted it to be candid. Because I think since the last time we've been on, we just learned a lot about boundaries, like a whole lot. I feel like after the third one, we started being tested on our own boundaries. And so it's like, when I woke up this morning, I was like, I wanted to name it, boundaries are scary. I mean, like, because it's not that you are afraid of your own boundaries. You're afraid of what your boundaries are going to produce. And well, let's just be real. The book we're reading and all the stuff that we're studying on this and all the stuff we've known about boundaries, let's just be real. One of the things that it says is that, it can produce fear to keep you from, putting your boundary out there, putting your boundary out there, letting it be known, sticking to your boundary. So mostly what's in my heart today is sharing with our audience, like, the implementation of boundaries. Like, it's one thing to say you have them.
Right.
It's one thing to say that, this is what this is where I draw the line in the sand, until a real situation pops up.
Until you have to actually
draw the line.
Yeah.
Until you have to actually draw the line in the sand and say, this is what I'm not gonna let you get this no closer than this. And then sometimes you kind of almost feel threatened because you feel like people are trying to push that boundary
Probably
and trying to
because they
see if you will actually move it for them.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're gonna ever get a breakthrough as it relates to your boundaries and actually see if they really do work, then you have to, you know, walk in your boundary or stand up for your boundary or implement your boundary regardless of what may come out of it, you know, and how the other person may respond.
Right.
And I spiritually so, I think the devil, you know, wants to intimidate us from, you know, placing boundaries and implementing them. And then emotionally so, we have been created by God to be accepted and, you know, want to be accepted,
Right.
and want to be loved and want to be understood and all those great things. But then like our boundaries is not that the people that try to cross them don't love us for them or love us anymore. They just don't love our boundary.
Yeah.
And so our boundaries
And it's new.
create. Yeah.
That's the thing about it. Like many of us are so accustomed to not having or not establishing boundaries that it's new for the person who is doing the boundary setting. And then it's also new for people in our lives who have had this just free flow of whatever they wanted to do and access and anything goes. And so it's new. And the thing about boundaries is, and boundary setting and then getting accustomed to other people's boundaries is that it takes time. It takes practice.
Yeah. Wow.
Sometimes you'll try to set a boundary and you will be serious about it. And it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to, this is how far I'm going to go. But then when the pressure from people that you really care about and you really love, that pressure comes because they may not understand your boundary or they may not like it necessarily. That pressure sometimes causes us to retreat. Even if we don't go all the way back, it causes us to move that line a little bit, you know. And that's not always healthy because then they don't believe the boundary,
Right.
you know, when we move the line. And then when you try to reestablish, because even if you do, because it's a practice, even if you do move that line after setting a boundary, the person may not easily believe you when you try to reestablish a boundary, but you can always come back to reestablish the boundary.
Right.
You may have to, it may not feel good for you because you may have to be a little bit more firm than you want to be, a little bit more non-apologetic, but it's important that just because you might have moved the line of the boundary that you don't give up on it altogether and that you go back and reestablish the boundary and try to have healthy conversations. You know, sometimes people don't like your boundary, but that's something you can acknowledge with them in a conversation. And I think that we talked about that in one of the episodes that was in a part of boundary setting that was in the book, is that have those honest conversations with people. Okay, I can tell that you don't really care for this, what I just said, this boundary. You're free to express why you don't want to respect my boundary or why you don't feel like this is an important boundary for me to have. It's not going to change my boundary, but at least I can understand what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and then maybe get you to understand better why I need this boundary. Right.
Man, a lot of stuff come to my mind at this point. Like, you know, I think one of the things that we have to be careful of emotionally or mentally or both is trying to overly, you're almost like you're trying to compensate for your boundary or make a, you know, trying to let the person know, I still love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. We're cool. Don't worry about it.
Extra sugary.
Make
for no reason.
Yeah. And I think to me, and just sitting there listening to you say that, you know, I'm just going back just over the last, you know, few months of us being gone and the experiences that I've had with people, because I'm a lover of people, and that's a good thing, and it's a very terrible thing. Without boundaries,
especially
as a pastor, a husband, you know, as a pastor, you deal with a majority group of women in the church that you may pastor. So you have to love them and take care of them without trying to satisfy the emptiness and longing for stuff that you're not supposed to satisfy in them. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that those are boundaries. It's like, how do you well, not how. I've had to ask myself, okay, Brian, what are you gonna do when the answer is no? When you can't just keep explaining yourself, and also don't let them drive you to over sweeten it. You know what I'm saying? It's like don't let anybody, and not only just people in the church, but anywhere,
just in life.
Anywhere in life, period. You don't have to just keep saying how much you love a person. Yeah. So that they can get that you're just trying to take care of your mind and take care of yourself. You don't have to
put it on a pillow or a cloud for them.
Right.
And soften the blow. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It may be what they want. And sometimes I think that actually moves you into the emotional space to either move the boundary where they can get closer emotionally, mm-hmm. so that once you said it, it's like it's never been said, mm-hmm. or that you don't ever said it at all because you've gotten so sugary about it that it's just like, okay, I just gotta. I've already opened up to you now. I've already said, I mean, you're dealing with somebody grown half the time, so that's not needed. You're not dealing with babies.
You can't even do that when you're setting boundaries with children.
Right,
because children will press you, and they will take advantage of them knowing that you're being a little bit too sugary, a little bit too sweet, a little bit too apologetic, a little bit you're overcompensating, and then they will not take you seriously.
Right.
And so the boundary, you think you're establishing a boundary. You might have had a conversation about it, but all of the stuff that envelops the boundary in that conversation overshadows it. It's like smothering something in gravy, to the point where you don't recognize what's underneath the gravy. And so that's, you don't want to do that, because then it's like, well, I established a boundary. Well, no, you didn't. Right. You might have spoken the boundary, but you did not establish it because of all the things that were you served on the plate with it. Yeah. The boundary got lost in the mix.
It got lost in the trying not to make somebody else feel. Look how long that sentence is. Trying not to make somebody else feel bad about your boundary. Right. Which 9 times out of 10, they're not upset at the details of your boundary. They're upset because there is a boundary. They don't want you to establish it at all. So 9 times out of 10, you just have to learn how to, you'll learn, and I think that the blessing in it for me over the last, few months is that it's going to be all right. It's really going to be all right. They're going to get themselves together. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be weird. Just be real.
And you have to be okay with that. It doesn't feel good to be in that weird space, with people. But the longer you drag it out, you know what I'm saying? As far as the more you try to soften the blow, and it just drags out the process longer. You don't have to be, and we said this before, you don't have to be, mean or rude or ugly, but you have to be clear when you're setting a boundary, and you have to get to the point. You know what I'm saying?
I like, one of the points that I want to bring up is that silence is your greatest message sometimes in your boundary. There is not enough words that you can speak to somebody to help them understand your boundary. Sometimes when it comes to boundaries, thank you, Jesus. For real. Thank you, Jesus. Sometimes when it comes to your boundaries, actions speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's okay to establish them verbally, but some people will act as if they just absolutely cannot get it whatsoever.
Right.
So less words, more actions. And that's when you, like you said about kids, they 9 times out of 10, they're not going to hear a lot of things. but they gonna remember what you did. They're gonna remember. And so I think that at certain times you all talked out. You got to tell yourself there's nothing else that I can say.
Yeah.
There's nothing more that I can say. You know, the Bible say, come, let's reason together, but let's just be real. There are unreasonable people out here in these streets. And because there are unreasonable people in these streets, and even, yes, in the church, there's just some people you're never, ever, ever going to be able to explain yourself enough to.
Right.
There are never enough people that you can say, you know, I just love you with the love of Jesus. You know, I mean, nothing. Like you nothing. There is absolutely nothing else you can say and nothing else you can do. You just have to be silent and just let it play out the way it's going to play out. Because if the threat is that they want you to feel like you're going to lose them, or that they're going to, you know, try to destroy you, or whatever the case may be, then let them do what they're going to do. Because at the end of the day, that was already in them while they were trying to manipulate you to be for them what they wanted you to be. Right. So that was already in them. Their whole goal was to destroy you from Jump Street. So you have to know, you know, where to set your boundary at, how much to say, how much not to say, and how much action to do. And where I am right now, the peace that I have and the joy that I have is because I just settled into it. I just start walking it out. And I think that's why this conversation today for me was about implementation, because you have to decide to have boundaries. Then you have to decide, you know, what's more valuable in your boundary, their feelings or your peace. You know what I'm saying? Their feelings or your peace. You have to decide what's the value, what's the most valuable thing. And if my peace is more important than your feelings, it isn't to say that I don't care about your feelings. It's to say that I care more about my peace, because I have to live with me. Even if because you can walk away, you can choose to do whatever you want. You can talk about me. You can lie on me. You could accuse me. You could do anything you want to do, but I need to be able to live with myself. I need to be able to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I may have had to part ways with this individual, but the beauty of this is that I can look myself in the mirror and say, I didn't do them wrong in order to have to, you know, be able to live my life and live in peace. I didn't have to disrupt their lives in order for me to have a life. I didn't do that. I was just being me. I just put the boundary there. I set it, and then I settled into it, and I became what my boundary told me I needed to be.
Yeah, yeah. And acceptance has to happen on both parties' behalf. Like, you have to accept your own boundary, or it will never be believable to the person that you're trying to establish a boundary with. And one thing that we should never do is start out setting a boundary with, you know, I love you, but listen, this is the boundary. And if my love comes into question because I'm doing something healthy and trying to establish a healthy boundary for myself, then that's an issue in itself. Yeah, it is. Right? Because I shouldn't have to preface everything with you know, I love you, but if I can say, you know, I love you, then you already know I love you. I don't have to say it.
Right.
That's just saying, I'm about to say something that I have some level of fear, because we show our hand when we do that.
Yeah, come on.
Then you know I'm timid and fearful about what I'm about to say to you. So here then comes the emotional manipulation or the pushback on the boundary. But if you don't give that, even if you are in that moment fearful, I'm not going to tell you off rip, I'm fearful.
Yeah.
I'm scared to say this to you, but.
So I love you so much.
Right. That's unnecessary words. We're wasting airspace for that.
I love you so much. I think that's been one of the greatest hindrances in me setting boundaries, is that I just felt like I had to make sure that people knew how much I love them. Because I don't. Let's just be real. I'll be transparent. I don't want nobody to feel rejected by me. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm abandoning them.
Right.
I don't want anybody to feel like I don't love them. But if you are not good for me, I have to learn to love me enough to say, if I don't step and put a boundary put something between me and you, what's in you is eventually going to get in me or try to destroy me in some way or another.
And sometimes it's not even that the person isn't good for you. It's just sometimes their behaviors are bleeding into your life in a way that doesn't work for you, that doesn't work for your life. It's like if you have to get up and go to work, if you have to be at work at 4:00 in the morning, if I say, okay, I'm not taking phone calls after 8 p.m. unless it is an emergency, then you continue to call me at 8:08 every night just to see if I'm going to pick up the phone, or you're reaching out to me at 9:30 and you don't want anything but, what's your recipe for sweet potato pie? Listen, that's not an emergency.
Right.
I already established my boundary is that do not call me. Well, you're up. I saw you on Facebook. That's my phone.
That's my phone.
That's my social media page. I didn't say I'm not going to be doing anything after 8 p.m. I said, you don't call me after 8 p.m. Now, I don't have to be up at 4:00 and I don't call me after 8 p.m. I'm just saying hypothetically, if that was someone's thing and you did, see them on social media at 8:30, you don't have a right to check them because they were on social media, but they told you don't call them after 8.
Right.
They're grown. That's their business.
Absolutely.
And those are boundaries that are crossed too, because now you want to run me.
Run my house.
Because I don't care what anyone else is doing.
Here's what you can do if you want to run my house. You can pay my mortgage or my rent or my car notes or the phone bill that you are so upset that the reason why I don't text you or call you back.
Then they'll
if
have
that
boundaries.
bothers you that bad, throw some change over here and pay this bill. Then we might be, you might be able to talk to me, or I may be able to talk to you about something that, if you text or call, then I might have to pick up because you pay for it. But you ain't paying for it. You don't own the right. I mean, it's so funny to me because I'm just so amazed at the boldness of people. They don't really like these same people, man. They you could talk to them and you could be directly talking to them sometimes or texting, and then they would just shut up, shut off, and cut you off when you're even expecting a response from a conversation. When the conversation gets uncomfortable for them.
Right.
But when they contact you, they think that you should feel obligated to respond, just like today. Today is basically my off day. That's kind of the way. It's kind of the why, we were kind of off at the beginning of this show, and it's just an off day for me. But we haven't been doing podcasting in a while, and we have a busy month in May, almost every weekend. So I don't want to wait till the weekend, So I was like, okay, let me do something. But this is my off day. Well, while I was preparing to come on to the podcast, where I really usually meditate on things that I need to talk about, I took a phone call, and I usually don't take phone calls on Mondays. Now, what I did do today is checked on some members that didn't come to church yesterday. I just wanted to check and see if they were all right. Different things like that, which is pastoral. We have people that are sick and different things like that. So I just wanted to check on, I forgot one person. I need to check on them they over here. So anyway, so at the end of the day, that's what I did. But that's my choice. That's what I wanted to do with my time. And I feel like pastorally, I didn't have anything no real business today. It was a great time to communicate with those people that I didn't see yesterday. So that's probably when I'm gonna start doing my Mondays. Now, don't start missing church. You know what I'm saying? Just so you can get a Monday text. That's ridiculous.
But the thing is about what you said about you take a phone call. But if that's not something, that's the thing about boundaries. They have to be established, because if people don't know, I don't take phone calls on Mondays. If that's not a boundary that you've established, then it's your choice still whether or not you take the phone call. But it's not something that should be expected, that people just aren't going to call you, because that's not an established boundary.
I established it in myself,
right?
But it's an unspoken boundary. Yeah,
of you.
I never told anybody that I was going to not take calls on Monday. That was actually something I just put in that was supposed to start May 1st. But unfortunately, because I didn't verbalize it, I just took a call out of the blue. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't a bad call. It's just that I just didn't want to think about church on Monday. I just didn't. I didn't want to think about, organizing anything. I didn't want to think about any business. I didn't want to. This is my day. I can do what I want. I stay in the bed as long as I want. I go to the gym and I go to the hot tub. I do whatever. This is my day to do me. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, I'm generally, unless it's something really
So
on
here's
my
my
mind.
question. If that was a boundary that you had established within yourself, then why did you take the phone call?
I don't know, because the person who actually called generally doesn't call me, and when they do, I know it's something really on their heart or on their mind. And it was a male, so to me it made it easier to take the call because it was a guy. You know what I'm saying?
So then was the
So
boundary really actually established within you?
I wasn't thinking about it. I was just doing me. And so the phone rang.
Boundaryless you. Yes, that's the part that you were doing.
No, I don't know about that.
Right, because if you established it within yourself, remember, so we're trying to help the people. If you said you had established the boundary, but it was only established with you.
I think I'm
within
gonna start
you.
being by myself again.
And so you can still implement the boundary even if other people don't know, because nobody knows that you're not taking the phone call, but you still didn't have to take the phone call, because by all means, if it was an emergency, they would have either called me or they would have left a message, because you have a voicemail set up, right?
Right.
Correct. So what
Oh God.
no, really, this is important to talk about, because people do this sometimes. They establish a boundary. They say, I'm going to do it this time. It's like starting a diet every Monday, and then Tuesday, the boundary has lifted. You know what I'm saying? The restrictions for the diet has lifted. And so it's like we do that with boundaries, establishing boundaries in our lives as well. We say to ourselves, this is what I'm going to do for me to be healthy and to do what I want to do. And this is my day that I'm going to do this. And then the moment there's an outside stimulus, we respond to it, regardless of what our boundary was. So if we don't respect our boundary that has only been established in us, how, number one, do we expect to be able to confidently establish it with other people outside of us? And then how do we expect for them to take us seriously?
So is there space to grow into your boundary? Not necessarily that you just mindless or not respecting your boundary. So if that's like, for me, it was something new. I wasn't even thinking about my phone ringing, right? So I'm just going on about my day.
Right.
And I assumed it was going to be a quick call. You know what I'm saying? Based on
You did.
Okay, forget it.
I
did. I did. I thought that it was going to be a quick
unrealistic expectations.
But it ended up being like an hour, maybe an hour and a half phone call with many subjects. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't really ready.
That's the thing. And yes, there is room for, like we said at the beginning, like you're practicing and you're growing. That's why you have to talk about it. So that's part of the practice, so that you'll know, okay, man, I wasn't thinking. And then I had this expectation that it was going to be a quick thing. And then it went on, and then I wasn't ready. And I knew I had something else to do. Those weren't things you were thinking about, right? With the boundary that you were attempting to establish. But it's good to talk yourself through that process so that you can practice something different the next time.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the thing. It's not about have to be perfect at it.
Right. It's not even, I'm not embarrassed by my actions.
We know.
I'm not embarrassed by my actions whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? I made the decision. I reaped the consequences, and I own it. But at the end of the day, It actually teaches me to be a little bit more mindful.
Yes.
On my next off day, because I don't want to spend my off day talking about church on Monday. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I just don't. I don't want to talk about, nothing that's related to church on Monday. I want to sit down. I want to eat. I want to, sleep. I want to, chill out. I want to, sit on the patio if it's a good day. Drive, whatever I want to do.
I don't want to hear about your off day on Monday because I'll be working on Mondays.
Well, I work on Sundays when ain't nobody else working. So there it is.
I'll be right there with you. I won't be in the big
You be there, but I'll be doing the work.
I don't be doing nothing. I don't be doing nothing. Don't start. My boundaries are being crossed right now.
I don't know. I got what you talking about? What boundary are you talking about? Okay, excuse us. What?
I'm not cutting this out either.
Whatever. Anyway, so at the end of the day, I mean, you learn every week. I mean, you just like during this month. Like we're talking about this now based on experiences that have taken place over the last few months, just feeling tested on everything I believe in the new frame of thought and the new belief system that I placed and the new disciplines that I've placed, in my life. And then having to really tighten up along the way just because of the extended pushing. Like it's almost like I felt like someone was just trying to plow down my walls, like legit, like just you gone, give me access to you. And I'm like, this right here will not only keep you from access to me, which really I'm not a difficult person to access. I don't feel like I'm too important to be in people's lives, no matter what life they have. You don't have to be rich to be in my life. You don't have to be, educated to be in my life. I just love people. I'm a lover of people automatically. What I don't understand is how is it that, the people who are really mean and hateful, why do they always get all of the respect? Why is it always us who just so loving and willfully desire to be in people's lives? Why are we always seeming to be the ones that's getting the manipulated, always being the ones that people trying to take advantage of? Why do you need to push my buttons? My buttons are already on. You need love, you can get it. If you're in a situation, I got your back 9 times out of 10 if I can. If you need prayer, I'm praying. If you need support, I'm supporting. If you need encouragement, this is just how I live. So I don't understand why people feel like they gotta plow their way into your life.
When you've allowed people to use you as an emotional crutch, you have to take some responsibility for that. When you've allowed people to because you are a lover of people, and people want to be around somebody like that. You know what I'm saying?
And that's cool. I want people to want to be around.
Exactly. But sometimes people need so much or desire so much. And it's like the more you're willing to give, if you have an endless, if there was an endless fountain of money just flowing, the more it flows, the more I'm going to want to get what is there. Mm-hmm. There's no limit. It's not like when you go to the ATM machine and it's not an endless supply that comes out. There's a limited amount. And then you can go back and you can get you know what I'm saying? But you have to also be putting something in there in order to be able to get something out. Sometimes people see it like it's that endless fountain. They're not taking responsibility on their end for what needs to be deposited. It's just, I want to constantly withdraw because I need so much. Mm-hmm. And because you're so willing to give, I'm just going to keep coming to where I know for sure I can get it. I'm not even going to try to establish relationship over here or try to go to God and get what I need fulfilled emotionally. I'm not going to try to go to someone else and see. I'm not going to look within myself to see how I can be fulfilled emotionally. I'm just going to go to where can easily be found.
Right.
And where I know it's a constant flow, and you're never going to turn me down. You're never going to not answer my text or my phone call or sit and talk to me for several hours about the same thing in a circle that we've talked about time and time and time and time again.
Yeah.
I know you're going to listen to me go on and on and on and on to no end and no point and no purpose. Because I just need somebody to hear me for hours.
Everybody needs somebody to hear them. But at the same time, I think, like you said, I just,
But there has to be.
I have had to learn, and that's what we're talking about now. I had to learn. I may be that person, but I can't be that person.
Right.
I may be that person. I may have the capacity to be that person.
You don't.
Well, here's the thing. I'm saying I may have the capacity or ability. I'm not looking at her.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help.
I know, but
the reason I'm not just cutting you off and saying things because I want to say you're wrong. I'm saying there's somebody out there that's going to think just like you, that they have the capacity to do it, but the truth is you do not have the capacity to be this huge bucket to hold endless amounts of everybody's stuff.
No, just not the capacity I was talking about though. I'm saying that I may have the capacity to be there for you. I'm not talking about endless supply of me. Don't rub my leg right now. Don't. Oh my God.
I'm listening to you.
No, you're not. You're distracted. Anyway, so at the end of the day, you showing out today. We can't do this on Mondays no more. We're gonna try Tuesday after you done did some work or something.
I worked all day today. Don't hate.
Anyway, so at the end of the day, what I mean is that this may be a part of my personality, like to be a giver or be there for you. But I'm saying that regardless of my ability, or as you may call it, inability, whatever I'm willing to give you, whatever I've been giving you, I can't give you that anymore. And it's not because what I have is not good. It's because I'm only required, or I only now deem it necessary to give it to you when it's an actual need, and not just because you're bored, desperate, or bypassing Jesus because you think you can get to me. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, let's be real. Sometimes I find myself, giving myself and giving people solutions that they don't even want, even if they're biblical. They don't want to hear it. So that's capacity to give you an answer and a solution. But if the truth and the solution is going to be a problem to you, then I just wasted my breath. So capacity can be there, but is it really necessary? Is it something that I have to be for you? Is it something I may be this for others, and it may be well, but if I be this for you, you know what I'm saying? The Bible said don't give wisdom to a fool. If you give wisdom to a fool, he's gonna hurt you with it. So you know what I'm saying? So I can have capacity without having being obsessed with being an answer for you or being available to you, because you may not know how to handle my availability. You may not have value or respect for my availability. So I've had to cut off some things, and I've had to cut myself or distance myself from some people that I actually love, without having to sweeten it up by making sure they know that I love them.
You know what's crazy too, and it really ends up being sad. That was so eloquently spoken. I just wanted to tell you that. But sometimes when you try to establish boundaries with people that you really do care about and love, to make the relationship better and more, just better for both of you, the other person may not realize that it makes it better for them too. But when they continuously push the boundary and try to, hop over the fence, and all of that
That scares
stuff.
me.
I mean, it is scary, but what happens is the boundary that was set so that you could have a healthier relationship, the more you reject it, the more it distances you from the person. Because a boundary isn't, and we've said this as well, it's not that you're building a wall so to keep people out of your life or to get people away from you. It's because we said boundaries are porous, right? And so it really is to establish a healthier way to be in relationships so that everybody gets what they need. I remember everything, most things you say. But that's the thing. Like, the boundary is supposed to be healthy for both parties in the relationship, but then when the other person takes the boundary the wrong way, then that it's only then when it becomes something negative that stands in the way, and now it's a roadblock where it really wasn't ever supposed to be. And now,
because you already, this is the thing, people just, oh my God, I hate when they mess it up, because you already getting such good access right now. I mean, like, for real, like, you getting loved, you getting, you're getting encouraged, you're getting prayer, you're getting a friend, you're getting things that, a lot of people that do what I do can't give to people. And I'm giving it freely without you even having to ask. And then you get like that and you just get scary. Now I feel like I need security because I feel like somebody's losing their mind. Like, I'm for real. Like, for me, I feel like somebody's losing their mind. It's like, okay, come on, man. Don't make it weird. I hate when people make it weird. Like, don't make it weird. Like, I mean, I'm not the most sane person, but I'm not the most weird person as well. Like, I mean, come on. Like, don't make it weird. If you already love, just enjoy it. If you already have a friend, enjoy them. If you already have somebody who cares about you deeply, enjoy them. Don't try to manipulate and con and make it something that is not. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
But that's where we have to. That's where we have to have grace. We have to have grace with ourselves when we're establishing the boundaries, because we're practicing. You know what I'm saying? None of us is great at it. None of us is professional at it. So we have to have grace for ourselves, and we also have to have grace for the people who we are setting boundaries with. That's why that reestablishment has to happen. Not in an overly, overcompensated, language use or any of that. It's just having a decent, open conversation to reestablish, to hear what they have to say, and to also let them hear what you have to say. And then reestablish the boundary, and as a boundary, not as a wall.
Right.
This is what I need from me.
Right.
And I hope that you will respect that.
It,
but even if you choose not to respect it, I'm going to respect it. And if that hurts your feelings, that I'm respecting my own boundaries,
I'm not losing peace over your feelings.
There's more wrong with this relationship than what I just have to make something's wrong.
I just made the decision. I'm not losing peace over your feelings. I'm just not. I'm not. I know that I love you. If you can't see it or don't want to see it, that's on you. Right. Like, at this point, we all grown. We have. If you can discern when I'm doing you wrong, you should be discerning when I'm doing you right. You can't tell me that the Holy Spirit in you only works one way, and only time he speaks to you concerning me is how much I've offended you. If the Holy Spirit ain't told you how much I loved you yet, then you'll never know it, because obviously there's not enough things I can do for you. There's not enough words I can give you. There's not enough hugs I can give you. And you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to choose my peace over your feelings. Your feelings are just going to have to be hurt. You're just going to have to think what you want to think. You're just going to have to sit up late at night looking stupid in the middle of the day. I'm sorry. I mean, seriously, overthinking, sitting there thinking about, why is he acting like this? What is he doing? Why he not? Well, let's just be real. You created this weirdness. I was being cool with you, and then you created a weirdness. And when you create a weirdness with me, I distance myself from weird. I just do, and that's just part of me. It may be something that I do to keep myself from being anxious, to cope with anxiety or whatever. At the end of the day, what I'm not about to do is hang around somebody that's just being weird. I'm just not. You can't force me to be something for you that I am not. And if I'm already giving you more than really what you deserve from me, when you're not even giving me a little bit of anything in return, please know that you have already gotten more than what you deserve. And if I take part of me back, then it was necessary. Mm-hmm. It was absolutely necessary because you made it weird. I mean, I keep saying it because that's really what I've learned over the last few months. That's the truth. I remember being at the gym one day and just receiving this text, and I'm like, this is the weirdest thing. I don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, wow. Like, I feel like I'm being pushed into being made guilty of something that I haven't even done. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's not fair. It's not fair because how do you accuse me of feeling some kind of way that I don't feel?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We haven't even had a conversation. You just making this up. Yeah.
But those are all things that we even read in the book, though, all the different ways that people could potentially respond to your boundaries. Sometimes they can flat out act like you didn't say anything. They just ignore the boundary. Sometimes they, test the boundary. They push back to see how far they can go. And if you're really going to keep, what you said. Sometimes it's the emotional manipulation. I've got to now turn it on you and make it look like you're doing something to me instead of doing something for you. Oh. And so these are all normal potential responses that people can have. And really it has less to do, and we're not, of course, responsible for how people respond to our boundaries. We're not responsible for other people's feelings, no matter what. Not, because if I am not doing something really to hurt your feelings, if I'm just establishing a boundary and we have a conversation and you say that you're clear and that you understand, because I think that's one of the things too that is important is when we establish boundaries with people, is to give them an opportunity to acknowledge the fact that they really do understand the boundary that has been set and that they understand that it's not about them. It's your boundary is about you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so having that clarity in those conversations with people about boundaries that are being established. And then beyond that, you are not responsible because somebody could say they are clear. If it's a lie, they told it. I'm not going to go follow up and see why you're hurting your own feelings. If you said you understood my boundary and that it wasn't about you and now you're making it about you, I'm not hurting your feelings. You are hurting your own feelings, and I'm not responsible for
I never told
hurting
you
your feelings.
I was going to be this for you. I've never told you that. You made this up in your mind, and I cannot be what you imagine. I can't. Right. I can only be who God made me. Mm-hmm. I can't, just because you saw, us walking through the daisies holding hands don't mean that that's going to be happening in real life. Right. It's not. That's in your head. You can't make it happen. You can't. I'm a person with my own mind, and I am good and happy and proud to announce that I'm grown. And I get to make my own decisions. Whether it be good, just like I made the decision today to answer the phone. Mm-hmm. I make my own decisions. You can't force me into being something that I never said I was going to be. I can't. Because guess what? What if I put that demand on you? What if I forced you to be the person that I want you to be for me that you are not?
Right.
You will feel like I'm manipulative. You will feel like I'm controlling. You will feel that, that I'm not being fair. What if I accused you for being something toward me or doing something to me that you haven't never even set in your thoughts to even do, let alone, walked out in the physical realm. You haven't even, approached me in that way or said anything for that. It's like, it's scary when anytime. That's why I said I don't know. I still want to say that the name of this is boundaries are scary, man. Like they just flat out scary. Like I mean, it's not that. I guess maybe I should say the needs for boundaries are scary because of the reason why you have to put them in place. Like if I gotta feel, I'm serious. I've been made to feel lately in certain circumstances that I needed to call a police, hire one, and get me security. Because when people start trying to bully their way through your life and then accuse you of things, it's almost like when I see this person, I need somebody that's armed beside me to protect me. Now that's how scary it was for me. That's legit how scary it was for me. Because I'm not a person who likes drama. I'm not a person who try to create drama. I'm a truth teller, yes, and I stand on that truth. I'm bold in the area of where God has anointed me to pastor, to preach, to teach, to live out my life however God has called me to. I'm bold in that. I'm confident in myself for the most part, until things like that make me insecure. Mm-hmm. It's like, I shouldn't have to feel like that I need an armed person beside me just to control whatever it is that's going on in your mind. Yeah. Because the stuff, if you will verbalize this kind of stuff, what is it that you haven't said? That's how I think. Yeah. If you will verbalize this, what is it that you haven't said? Yeah. Because I know there's more to this than what's coming out of your mouth. And that's scary. Boundaries, or the need for boundaries, are scary.
I got your back.
I mean, I'm just saying. No, we ain't talking about that. I'm just saying.
You said you needed somebody armed to stand beside
you. You are not armed.
You don't know.
Okay, maybe you're not. Maybe you armed and I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, my point is, it's scary. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It can be very
People's
scary.
Responses to your boundaries. Sometimes the need to put what you feel is the need to put the boundary in place isn't necessarily the scary part. It's how people react to the boundaries. Because really, most of the time when you're establishing, unless you already have, now sometimes you are establishing a boundary based on somebody's already scary behavior, but most of the time in relationships that you're trying to establish with people, or that you have established with people that you are still in relationship with, if you are still choosing to be in relationship with them, and they and understand, okay, we just need some boundaries, it's usually not a scary the boundary itself, or the need for the boundary itself is not scary. It's always that fear comes from, how are they going to respond?
My thing was, what made them click? Like, when did this happen? Because the last thing I knew, everything else was harmonious. Yeah. This came flat out of the blue. Like, where did this come from?
It's unpredictable.
It's like,
people's responses are unpredictable.
It wasn't even about a boundary, like, at all. Like,
well, see, that's a whole.
They had access.
That's a whole different page. Then
I mean, I'm just saying they had access. So where did this come from? This just happened. This blew up. When you start thinking and talking like that, it start, okay, I need protection, or I need to stay away from this individual, because if they'll say this, there's no telling what they'll do.
Yeah. So in that case, it sounds like because you were saying like it wasn't about a boundary. Then it wasn't a response to a boundary. It was showing you that there was a real need for a boundary.
Yeah. Because I mean, you think you know somebody. I mean, yeah. I'm just saying, you think you know somebody and you think you're safe with them, and then all of a sudden, boom, things turn, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This. I didn't know I was going. Because like for me, like I'm a lover of people. So as many people as I can love on, I'm going to do it. Many people as I can, hang on to closely, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. I know what rejection feels like. I know what abandonment feels like. I don't want anybody to ever feel that way from me. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing that keeps some of us from boundaries, mm-hmm. because we know what rejection and abandonment and all that stuff feels like. And the danger in is that if we still stuck on how we felt about our abandonment and being abandoned or being rejected, that we refuse now to put anybody, in the correct place in our life that they need to be, because we don't want them to we despise the way all that made us feel, that we don't want to make somebody else feel that way, to the point where we do nothing and we let people destroy us. Yeah. And that's not fair to you. I don't care who you are, and I don't care who they are. That is not fair to you. That is not showing yourself love. That is not valuing yourself. That is not respecting yourself. That is not honoring yourself. That is letting someone that you know that is visibly and physically showing you and emotionally showing you that they are abusive and disrespectful and dishonoring be close to your life just for the just for the sake of destroying it, and you're willfully, because you don't want them to feel bad,
right?
Cause you rather carry that weight yourself than to let them take responsibility for being out of order in your life.
Right. And sometimes, like you just said, because of what we've experienced sometimes personally in life, we project what we have felt onto other people, and we make assumptions about, oh, if I do this, they're going to feel rejected. They probably won't. They may not feel rejected. They might not feel a lot of those things. They may try to make you think that's what they feel, because they know, because you're so open about how you don't want people to feel rejected because you've been rejected. And so they can use that as emotional manipulation. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times it is not going to be, people are not going to feel what we assume they are going to feel. Yep. And so then that fear stops us from taking a chance, because that's the thing. It's like anything else in life that is new. You're taking a chance. Right. You really don't know what's going to happen. Right. We took a chance moving over here into a different, area, a different neighborhood. We didn't know enough about it to just 100% blindly trust. You know what I'm saying? We came, we checked it out. And that's how you do it, even with your boundaries. Right. You establish small boundaries with people. And oftentimes when you establish small boundaries with people, you can tell like how it's going to go when you get to a bigger boundary. But you're really prepping them in the relationship, that because you can't they can't ever think that you just have no boundaries. Right. So it's like, okay, let me put some small things. Let me ease you into it. Again, not with overcompensation, or it's just, okay, let's have this small boundary right here. And then you can make the greater boundaries as you go along. But they got to know you're serious about the small boundaries, first. You
got to win those small victories, man. Yeah. And it may seem like big and overwhelming at first, because it was for me. It was big and overwhelming until I realized how small it really was. It was like, man, God, I had to pray a lot. And I had to talk myself out of the emotions I thought they were feeling. Right. I did. I had to talk myself out of the emotions that I thought they were feeling. I literally had to push myself to the point where I didn't care how they felt. Yeah. And that sounds mean. It really sounds mean. But if you don't, you will overthink something that they may not even be feeling. Yeah. They may know they manipulate.
Anxiety will get the best of you.
They may know they're manipulating you. They may know that they're trying to.
They're sleeping good and you're stressed out.
Yeah. They know they got you on one, and if they can get you on one, they can rest. Why? Because you're constantly got them on your mind. And what else do they want? Eventually, if they keep you, stay on their mind, if you keep them on your mind, eventually they feel like, he's a nice guy. He can't handle nobody not liking him. So guess what? He'll be back. Yeah. And they just wait and torture you.
You don't have to like
with what you think that they feel. No, seriously.
But honestly,
with what they think that you feel, until you show back up. Yeah. Ready to be everything that they want you to be. All it takes is a word of encouragement. That's why you have to, man. Please, and we got to end this, but This is why you have to be secure in yourself, emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever it is. You cannot allow yourself to live in insecurity, because if they get you down, sometimes people want to beat you down so they can be the one that so-called builds you back up. This is something that I've experienced too. And I learned this because it seemed to have been a cycle, but just being used, a different person being used. Mm-hmm. And so once I learned it this time, I realized people beat you down just so they can be the ones to build you back up, because they need you to be down so that you will buy into their flattery. Mm-hmm. They're purchasing your soul with their flattery.
Yeah.
And these are the same people that are inconsistent in your life all the time. One day they praise you, and the next day they try to make you feel bad. They do all of that to keep you feeling like that you got to do something to satisfy them in order for the relationship to be right. So you're always constantly giving to them. Always. You're always trying to do something. They control what comes out of your mouth. They control how you think. They control how you feel. Until the point where they take over your life.
Yeah.
Without them really even saying a word. Not to you. It's just they just make moves that they think that's gonna bother you.
Yeah.
They just make moves. And if you don't prioritize yourself, you'll be destroyed by just their activity or inactivity in your life, because they'll use either one to try to control and manipulate. And that's why you need a boundary. Again, the need for boundaries, or boundaries, whatever you may want to call them, that's scary. They're scary, but you'll get over the fear, and you'll see the value in your boundary.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. It's gonna break in you. And when it breaks in you, watch this. This is the beauty of it. You'll be able to convince them. Oh, they ain't playing no more. Mm-hmm. The game over. I can't get to them no more. They never had to stop loving me. They never have to stop caring about me. They never treated me bad. They just shut up. They just stopped fighting.
Yep.
And they went into their place of peace, and they progressed through it. They didn't let anything in me stop them from being them. They just went to somebody that knew how to treat them. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, they just went to somebody who knew how to treat them. And sometimes that's what has to happen. You just have to move on, because everybody's not the same.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to get in the crowd that will understand you and will receive you and embrace you, and also know how to let you go.
Right.
And be who you are. Get with the people who believes in you and is consistent in believing in you and loving you, and not able to be easily influenced by somebody who doesn't like your boundary, trying to create more enemies for you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that just for the sake of controlling you. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, boundaries can be scary. And I don't like being scared.
Don't be scared.
I don't like being scared. And if it's anything that I've learned, is that they're scary.
But like you said at the beginning, as frightening as it may seem or may be, you can't allow yourself to get overly anxious, because it really will be okay.
Yeah.
It really will. It seems like it's not going to be okay. And it's going to be okay whether the person decides to stay in your life and respect the boundary,
or not,
or if they decide that your boundary is too much for them and they have to move on and don't want to be in relationship and fellowship with you anymore. But either way, it's going to be okay.
Well, here's the thing. The reason why it's going to be okay is because
you
are going to be okay.
Exactly.
Like, that's the thing. Like, you may never ever come to a reasonable, close to this. You may never come to something that makes sense of why this happened. But You can play. Your peace is your closure, and it tells you, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but I'm thankful that I still have my right mind. I'm thankful that I chose me above how they may be feeling. And you know, especially with Christians, they try to make you feel so guilty. And so, oh, you're not Christ-like. You don't have the qualities of Jesus. First of all, I'm not Jesus. That's the first goal. Let's go put that out there.
No, you're not.
I'm not Jesus. All right, I'm not Jesus. I'm Jethro and Dolores Harris's son, and that's a lot in itself. And so, you know, I'm not Jesus. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be like him. I'm really, really serious about my discipleship, so that I am trying to become who he's called me to be. But I'm not Jesus, and I never will be Jesus.
Right.
What Jesus took, I may not ever have to take. Matter of fact, I think he took it so I didn't have to take it. Amen. Right. So I think he took it so I didn't have to take it. So he told me to love. He didn't tell me to give everybody access. Jesus loved, but he did not give everybody access at the same time. Jesus had boundaries. He really did. So at the end of the day, you know, it may be scary, but you will win you. And I think I've been able, if I can close the show with this, I think I've been able to really step into some major confidence, because what used to shake me and cause me to shake in my boots, as they call it, what used to make me nervous and insecure and overly anxious and cause me to overthink and worry, no longer causes me to do that anymore. I have a greater confidence in myself because I had to overcome worrying about what somebody else thought and valuing my peace.
Amen.
The last few months, man, since we've been going, it's been one test after the next, just trying to create boundaries and believe in what you see. Mm-hmm. Just believe what you see. You don't have to make it up. You don't have to try to accuse anybody, and you don't have to even tell them about themselves. The best thing you can do is believe what you see. Mm-hmm. Believe what you see. Because if you don't ever believe what you see, then you'll constantly try to make it be what you want it to be. And that will be frustrating, irritating, and it's going to decrease your quality of life. Because if a person is intentionally trying to bring you down, you best to know being close to them is the last thing you want to be, no matter how much you love them.
Right.
No matter how much. There ain't enough I love yous in the dictionary that would be able to express to them how much you love. There's not enough money you can give them. There's not enough encouragement, hug, nothing that you can give them to convince them that you love them, because they don't want to be loved by you. They want you to be controlled by them. That's it. Am I right?
Amen, sir. Is this your second, third closing?
I'm done.
Okay.
So that's the show for today, honestly. And thank you guys for joining us again. Don't forget you can subscribe on our video podcast channel on YouTube, The Apostles Corner, and all of our audio digital outlets. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think that's it. And just follow us, be a part of our social media family, and we'll be back next week. We may even drop another one this week. Who knows? This depends on how much time we have. We got a lot to we got a lot to go, a lot to do. So thank you, Dr. Kimberly, for being here with me again today.
Thank you for having me.
And our next show, we're going to go deeper. I hope that we said something today that will give you life, that will give you hope, and that will cause you to, yes, my boundary may be scary, but it is also necessary. See y'all next time.